Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Um, Welcome back to Tier 3. I had a little week off. I'm back now, so I'm going to make my tea. I hope we're all good. It's not many people on. I don't know who's there, but probably not joining yet because I was late last time. Anyway, it's not a very nice day. I don't know what it's like where everyone is, but it's not a very nice day. I'll just make my tea. Today we're going to talk about objectives. We're going to talk about objective setting. I'm back with the Jaffa cake, back on the Jaffa cakes, just normal ones. Lovely to know you there, Carly. That's lovely. Who else is there? There's only one other person. Message Crofty. Where is he? I've got a question. I've obviously got a question. So because I've just come back off holiday, I thought I'd do something a bit holiday related. So beaches, because we all like a beach. So my question today is, where is England's longest beach? So where is the longest beach in England? That's my question. Lovely to see you, Clara. Well, not see you, but see you type in. The longest beach in England. That's my question today. And I'll take the longest pebble beach or sand beach, because there are two different answers there, obviously. So longest beach in England. That's my question. We can just guess the county or the place. I don't mind, but the longest beach. Any ideas? No Googling. Longest beach in England. Only in England. I don't know if Wales or Scotland have got a longer one. I didn't Google that much. No guesses yet. Disappointing. Nice tea. Tier 3. Good. So longest beach in England. That's what I'm after today. Where is the longest beach in England? I'm sure somebody's been to it. It's quite famous. Anyway, that's my question. So type your answer, longest beach in England. Please, somebody type your answer, or I'll just think you put it on and you've gone and made tea as well. Anyway, we're going to talk about objectives today. So objectives is a bit of an interesting old topic, really. And I kind of think that with objectives, whenever we talk about like performance reviews and we talk about objectives, it becomes like a bit of a mood hoover where, energy starts to be sucked out of us. And I don't really want objectives to be like that. There could be a longer one in Wales, but I don't think there is actually. I don't think there is, Clara. So I think you can go England, and you'll be right. And Carly's gone Chesil Beach for Pebble. Interesting. Hey, Danny B, longest beach in England. You all right? So we're going to talk about objectives. I must start. Mood hoover, suck the life out of you. Don't worry, that's all right. My question is, where's the longest beach in England? Could be the UK. I'll let someone Google. So we're going to talk about objectives. And my big thing with objectives, and I think everybody really struggles with this, when they're kind of trying to set objectives on their performance documentation, and we can have objectives for goals and all of that, is the big thing here is people say, I never know what to write. I don't quite know what to write because I just kind of do my job. And I get that. That's perfect. Of course, I want you to do your job, but your job is not your objectives. So for me, you could argue one of the things that I'm paid to do is to deliver learning. Yeah, but that's not an objective. So you don't objectivize me on delivering learning. So you can't set an objective for me to deliver tea at 3. That's not an objective. So my job is what I'm paid to do. Yeah. So my job is all about inputs. And this is the big thing. Yeah. An objective should all be about an output. So it should happen as a result of something. So that's why your job and your objectives are different. So don't just write your job out as objectives because that's your job and you're going to do that. It's what happens as a result of you doing your job. So for me, if I'm delivering training, my input is to deliver it, but what's the output the business is looking for? Well, that's when it gets slightly different. That's when the business is looking for something like repeat business, like new business, like happy delegates, positive feedback. So we can measure that a lot more effectively. Now, one of the ways that's most commonly used in business is the acronym SMART. And I'm sure we all know it. It's hammered in. It's on many courses that you'll know are delivered. And what I want to use that for really is like a benchmark. I kind of want you to write your objectives and then make sure they're SMART. But I think a lot of people, what happens is SMART becomes the driver. I want you to kind of think about what it is you want to achieve, how you're going to do it, that kind of thing, and then almost tick off those SMART things. We all know what SMART stands for, so it's about specific. So it's got to be a very definite goal, something that we can see, touch, feel. Yeah, and they've got to be measurable. So we've got to be able to count things in, measure them, etc. They've got to be, and the A is an interesting one. In performance management, I quite like a greed. I think if you work with somebody, the person is far more likely to do it and want to do it. Because when we talk about personal goal, it's all about desire. That's kind of missed out of this in work. So that's where I think I like the A for agreed. Achievable is what we also know. And I don't mind that as a word, but sometimes we want to stretch people. So if we make it too simple to achieve it, there's no stretch, there's no desire, because then I can do it. The R is relevant. It's got to be relevant to the role, particularly if people are getting performance rewarded for achievement of objectives. So it's got to be relevant to role, not like extra work. That's a personal development objective. That's something completely different. And the last, the one that we all know is the T, which is something to do with time. However, there's a few people on here, and we've probably all got objectives, we've all got performance review documentation. And one phrase that I never really want to see on performance review documentation under the T is ongoing. Yeah, because it can't be ongoing. That just makes them smart if we're making them a SMART objective, because ongoing is not a time. So it's got to have a deadline. Even if you're working on a 5-year project, you've got to break that down into big and smaller bits. So something for 2 weeks, something for 4 weeks, something for 6 months. And then you can tick those off, because completion motivates people. So that's where it becomes kind of important. But it's got to have a deadline. There's got to be an end date. So if you see ongoing, so if we've got line managers out there, ongoing is not good enough. And the thing with objectives is I want them to be constant. So the documentation has got to be living. It's got to be real, because what happens is a lot of people fill out their form and then put it in a drawer, and then in the review get the form out. And they say, well, I've been too busy doing my job to do my objectives. And it's kind of like, they've got to be weaved together, and they've got to be utilised all the time. And I don't want to get caught up on SMART as long as they're objectives. That's fine, because the thing I want is some level of desire. I want to make them exciting. I want to make them different. I want to make them new. I want people to want to do them. Yeah. And SMART just happens to be the mnemonic of business, and most businesses use to hang it off. But if we can get all those other things in, we can just tick the SMART bit off anyway. Now, with those SMART objectives, of course, what they are, they're brilliant for tasks. They identify tasks because they're very measurable. They're very measurable things. So it's very simple things that we can measure, like how much has something increased, how much has something gone quicker, has a sales figure gone up. It's very measurable. It wasn't 1 million and now it's at 2 million. So it's a real hard measure. But of course, one of the big things in business, because every business that kind of people are in, there's somebody else doing the same thing. So the other thing with objectives is it's not just hard targets all the time. It's not only what we do, it's also how we do it. And it's just as crucial, and in my opinion, even more crucial, that we measure those and measure those effectively. And they're, of course, behavioural objectives. And they're normally wrapped around business values, business competencies, something along those lines. Now, they can't be measured hard like a SMART objective is. So again, for me, if I look at my role, if I'm delivering learning, it can't be about maybe how many times I use a delegate's name. So if you want to make that SMART, it's ensure you use a delegate's name 2 times every hour of the training session, ensuring they answer a question. So my input is I ask their name, the output is they answer a question. But what I could do is I could just go in, morning, John, how are you today, John? How was your journey, John? That's John done. And it's not about that. Behaviourally, it's about, am I engaging? Am I maximising involvement with the delegates? Now, how can this be measured? Because this is the hard bit. And this is why I think a lot of behavioural objectives don't get set, don't get laid. Because the best way to measure these is to observe. The way that a line can see if the person is doing their job is by observing them doing their job. Now, why don't they do it? Well, a few reasons. One, they haven't got time. Two, probably they trust the person. Now, I said, I was with a group of people and I said, behavioural objectives, my job is to deliver training and output to happy delegates, stuff like that. But there's some behaviours that I should be displaying as a trainer, whether it's face-to-face or online, there's behaviours I should be displaying. And I said, the best way is if my boss is here. And one of the delegates said, yeah, but if your boss was here, surely you'd change. And it's like, well, that's an interesting point of view, because firstly, does that mean you don't think I'm doing it correctly now? But secondly, even if I did change, surely that would be good. Because if I changed and did it correctly because my boss was there, surely that's great. If he observes me 4 times and I do it right 4 times, that's good. If he never observes me, potentially I could do it wrong every time. So observation is important. Now, what I like to believe is the person's not going to change. The person's going to carry on doing what's normal. If they do change, you can quite easily find that out because of feedback from delegates in my role. But observation is the key to behavioural objectives. What we do is sometimes we don't like doing it because it takes up too much time. So we make the harder targets, the really simple to measure thing, how many apples are in the bucket. That's easy to measure. Let's count the apples. But what we want is the person to be displaying the company values while they're putting the apples in the bucket. For me, easier to train someone to put apples in a bucket than have the right attitude to do it. So behaviour and task have to weave together. So there's things that we need to do. We need to reflect on those objectives. We need to have them set. We need to make them exciting. We need to have a deadline on them, which is often forgotten. But we mustn't forget to weave them with behaviour. And if that goes wrong, I think the whole pyramid will come tumbling down. So that's just my little overview on objectives. Now, my question at the start was, what is the longest beach in England? And Carly Cole, Chesil Beach for Pebble. You are bang on the money. It is Chesil Beach is the longest beach in England. 18-mile beach. It is totally shingle. So if you want a big sandy beach, the biggest sandy beach is Barrow Beach, which is near Burnham in Somerset. And it's just over 6 miles long. So they're the biggest beaches, longest beaches. I don't think there's a longer one in Wales. Yeah, I've been there. I've been to Chesil as well. It's very like climbing and stuff by Portland Bill. So you've got a nice lighthouse there. But it's very nice, worth a visit. Jurassic coast of Britain, actually. Now, I'll be back next Tuesday. We're going to talk about trying to re-engage your people as they return to work, either back from working at home or maybe back from holidays as we're rolling out that summer holiday period. So how can we re-engage as a boss? So thanks for joining me this afternoon. It's great to be back. My kitchen looks remarkably similar as it did 2 weeks ago, but it feels a lot longer. So have a nice cup of tea, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye now.